Hello, my fellow researchers. Thank y'all for tagging along with me on this journey with the vertical farming researcher, aka me, William Gleason. This episode, we have a little bit of change of scenery, as we can tell. That is primarily because of inclement weather. It is like 40 degrees outside and it is raining, and yeah, we're not gonna do that today. So we're in my media room. Hope y'all like the background this time. It's not a brick wall and it has a little bit of flavor. So this might be a new thing, but it's kind of uncomfortable because the only stand that I can put it at is, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, in conclusion, I'm sitting on 5 cushions just so the camera can see me. So I guess I'll get started. It's been a while since my last vlog because we kind of extended the due date a little bit because of, Thanksgiving break, and then Christmas is coming up, so we're not gonna have a vlog 6 and then a vlog 7 because it's just kind of redundant at that point, especially with some recent developments that have been going on. It's definitely been a hard year for us, and the end of the year has been really getting to us. Corona-wise, I think nationwide, globally, but mainly nationwide. We've been having some issues, and obviously, we are suffering from that. So yeah, I think people in my class would understand. But anyways, so I guess we've been kind of slowing down a little bit when it comes to our AP research classes, but we're at a pretty flexible time is what I'm understanding. We had to turn in our IRB, which is the internal review board, and basically we just need to get our research approved by a board so that we can conduct it and that it's ethically sound, and that we're not going to have any legal issues or any jargon like that. For me personally, I don't think any of us are going to have an issue. I'm definitely not going to have an issue because I have mixed method design, and basically I just take data from a municipal place and see how trends are going based on how vertical farming has already affected it. Although this is kind of minimal because it's not like widespread yet, but we can already see in some places like Singapore and New York and really urban, dense populated areas where transportation is really costly to transport agriculture from so far away into such a dense population that it's just easier just to grow it in that spot. So we can already see that some agriculture has already been affected by that, and I'm planning to measure that because there is no available research on that, which is part of my gap. And then the second part is the interview with the companies. So I'm going to interview companies, primarily Aero Farms. That's like number 1 on my list. That's going to probably be the bulk of it. And then GP Solutions and whatnot. I think I had another. I cannot remember. Some of the names are a little whack. But anyways, I'm going to interview those companies and see what their predictions are, like what the effects of their companies are, what do they think is going to happen to the rural people, because, what's basically going to happen is now that agriculture is going to be in urban areas. I mean, we don't need the rural areas anymore because we practically just needed that for agriculture. And, I was thinking about the trends of I'm thinking about past trends of ¿cómo se llama? Agricultural revolutions. I'm so sorry. I just realized I spoke in Spanish. But yeah, and how there's increased urbanization. Well, now, I mean, there's increased urbanization because less people need to work in urban areas. I mean, less people need to work in rural areas to be on farms, but now no people need to live on rural areas. So I don't know what the future holds. And that's kind of what I want to study. And so anyways, that's kind of what we were doing for the past weeks. We've also done some revisions to our lit reviews because, we wrote we wrote our method outlines and stuff like that, and obviously you realize, oh, I need to tweak some things here because that's not necessarily researchable and stuff. So you have to address your gap, and you have to rewrite some parts of your literature review. Obviously, the bulk of the literature review really does not change. It's mainly the gap paragraph. I think everyone just had to revise their gap paragraphs. I revised mine, even though Miss Moncrief said I didn't really need to, but I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it definitely does need some little work on it. So I did that. And yeah, we have some goals that we had to have done by the end of the first semester, and some of those include the letter to the parent. We have to write a parent letter. I'm working on that, as well as we're gonna take the survey. So some capstone students wrote surveys so that they can study for their research. So not every capstone student is like me, where they're just doing some crazy science thing or whatever. It's some things that we can like measure like mental health issues, you know, like with adolescents. Obviously you're going to need surveys for that. So we're going to help our fellow capstone students out by doing the surveys, and we're going to write a reflection over that. And so yeah, that'll be good. But we're also, you know, reflecting about what we're doing in the first semester with our letter to parent. And I've been thinking a lot about how much I've improved over the semester, because I've really, like, when I walked into class and my teacher and Miss Moncrief was like, okay, the first thing you need to understand is the distinction between a capital R research and lowercase r research. I was like, what? I had no idea what she was talking about, and then I realized, oh, I have to make original research. And I think that was like kind of like my big transforming thing, because I was just thinking I was writing like a paper on, oh, there goes my cushions. I sorry, that really distracted me. I just thought I was just writing like a paper over, you know, just some like stuff that I looked up and something cool like that. No, I actually have to make my own independent work, which actually makes me a lot happier, because I'm actually contributing something meaningful to like society as a whole. Because it's not just like a seminar paper, like an AP seminar the year before AP research. You just write like papers over stuff that you researched already, you know, like it's not like actual authentic research. And, you know, I mean, anyone can write that, you know, but this actually takes time. That's why it takes a whole year. Because I was like, why do we have to take a whole year for like I mean, I know the essay is like 5,500 words, but now I get it. It makes more sense now. I'm kind of scared about that word limit too, because I know, knowing me, I write a ton, and I feel like I'm going to write a lot more. Yeah, I think Miss Moncrief complained about that, actually, that I wrote a lot. But I'm sure other classmates did. Definitely thinking about someone, Miss Moncrief, I know who you're thinking about too, probably. I don't know. Maybe. I actually don't know if he writes a lot. Oh, and so yeah, and then we wrote our literature review. Oh, no. We started out like researching, you know, like gathering our sources, and then we wrote this annotated bibliography, and that took forever. How long I think that took us like 3 weeks. It was a while with that annotated bibliography, because I mean we have to really research into that, and like the stuff that we're researching, obviously the stuff that we're researching isn't well researched, right? Because that's why we're researching, kind of. So I mean, we really had to dig deep, especially with my field. My field was especially hard because it's vertical farming, and it's not something really common. It's a relatively new technology, even though it's been around since last century, but like it really got revolutionized not a couple of years ago. So it was very difficult for me to find sources. Obviously not all my sources were vertical farming related, because I could just see like, oh, pollution level trends, agricultural revolution. So that kind of helped me out a little bit. You also need a diversification. Not everything should be about your topic. Keynote there. But the bulk should. And then we wrote the literature review. That was fun. I don't really know what to say about that. I mean, it was kind of like a mini seminar essay in and of itself, and then I wrote a gap paragraph. It's literally as long, a little bit shorter than the task 1 seminar essay. If you are aware of that, is that the argument of one? I believe that's the one where you create an argument. No, it's the IRR. Anyways, doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I basically was writing a seminar essay, except I included a gap at the end, or like a gap identification. And that was also a big part of semester 1 was finding the gap in your research, because like there's so much research out there. I mean, there is just like, you know, you go into a database and there's hundreds of thousands of different published articles, and you're just like, well, everything's been researched. No. You'd be surprised. There is so much that we still have not discovered as humanity. And I was really scared for vertical farming. I was like, what is there to research? But then I'm like, wait, this is so underdeveloped. There has to be something. And then I realized, of course there's something. And then that's where I was thinking. I was just thinking in my mind one day. I was just like sitting in bed. This was like really late at night. And I was just like, so what's going to happen to the rural people? No one ever talks about them. And I was like, no one ever talks about them. Of course. And so then that's how I figured out my gap. And from there, I was able to like say, oh, how am I going to measure this? And that didn't take me pretty much long. I kind of needed a mixed method, because if you think about it, socioeconomic effects on rural populations. I mean, yes, there's a lot of like quantitative information that you can study on it, but there's also a lot of like qualitative, like you need to understand like how this affects a perfect personally, because like mental health, like if we take for example mental health, yeah, you can do like a 0 to 10 scale, but that doesn't really tell how people live, you know, like we can't, not everything can be confined to numbers. So that's why that was my justification for using a mixed method analysis, because I think you need the best of both worlds in order to accurately understand that. And so yeah, that's pretty much like where we are as of right now in research. We're next semester, and I'm gonna do a little bit over winter break. I'm gonna like email the companies, because you never know how long they're gonna take. I'm gonna email the companies and see when they can do an interview, and I'm gonna see how I'm gonna execute that. And we'll go into 2021 with a bang. Hopefully it's a lot better than 2020, because we all know this year has been the most iconic year of our lives. Hopefully coronavirus gets better too. But on that note, I hope y'all had a wonderful first semester in AP Research, and if you keep at it, you will be willing to succeed. Thank y'all. Goodbye.